Hello everyone, my name is Ziamaro and welcome to Battlerite Sage. So I was kind of busy over the weekend and I was really excited to come back to a bunch of info about our new champion Alysia. But the response to the new champion so far has been more about her design than excitement about a new champion to play. There's a lot of concerns over the design being a little bit too safe and uninspired. I was planning to do a video running through all her abilities and how she might play out in the meta, but I think it might be a bit more topical to talk about character design. So first off, thematically, is the Ice Queen archetype an overplayed movie and video game trope? Maybe. Ice Queen thing aside for a second, the Frost Mage has been a recurring theme in video games for a long time. Personally, I love Frost Mages, or Magi. I remember years ago playing Vanilla WoW as a hunter and I had this kind of Pokemon style rivalry with a Frost Mage from my guild. We kind of leveled up at the same pace and we would just duel each other every few days. I kind of enjoyed it at first because I beat him pretty much every time, but after hitting max level he started beating me a lot. And not only did he beat me, but he looked really cool doing it, and after that I developed a real love of the whole Frost Mage style. So while the Frost Mage theme is a little bit predictable, personally I really like it. And Bloodline Champions never had a Frost theme character, so it's kind of cool to see one. As for the Ice Queen aspect, yeah, ever since that Disney film, it's something we've seen a lot of. No, Disney weren't the first to depict an Ice Queen, but it's the reason we have a whole generation of Ice Queen stereotypes in pop culture. It's not the most creative design, but I do think it has its place. SLS have created some really cool and unique characters, but if you look hard enough at any character from any game, you can find similarities in other games, films, or books. So I really think the pursuit of uniqueness is a bit of a futile one. I was actually a touring musician and songwriter for a number of years, so I've thought a lot about the whole originality conundrum. And the conclusion that I came to was, if you do something because everyone else is doing it, yeah, you could call that unoriginal and selling out, but ultimately we're all consumers of pop culture, and even just being around it influences you, even if that's just on a subconscious level. And for that reason, the reverse can be true as well. If you don't do something because everyone else is doing it, then you're still a slave to pop culture. It's the same powers, just working in reverse. So if something feels right, or it means something to you, or it just fits what you're trying to achieve, who cares how many other people have done it, just do your thing. So if you haven't gathered already, I'm totally indifferent to the fact that we have an Ice Queen champion. She may not be the most original design, but it's an archetype we didn't have, and now we do. If you think she's boring and uninspired, that's fine, you're entitled to your opinion, and I do get where you're coming from. But I'm just not bothered by it personally. We all know that Stunlock are capable of creating great characters, so let's not worry too much about one champion being a little bit predictable. Let's move on to the more interesting stuff, the actual gameplay. I really like the look of the interplay between her abilities. Her Flash Freeze and Snow Cone can both freeze people when they're chilled, and there's a lot of ways to chill people. So I think we're going to see some really interesting combos with her abilities. There are some concerns over her abilities as well though. The main one is the freeze state. It immobilizes and silences people while giving them a 20 damage shield. That sounds an awful lot like Petrify, doesn't it? Some people are worried that this will create unnecessary confusion for new players if we keep adding more debuffs with different names and themes, but in practice they actually do the same thing. And I think this is a really legitimate concern. This game has the potential to be pretty alienating to new players as it is without creating unnecessary confusion. And SLS have taken huge steps from Bloodline Champions in making the game much easier to understand from the get-go. It is a little bit concerning if we continue to see status effect bloat like this. There is, however, some method to the madness. Alysia has access to a shatter effect through her Battlerites. If you take the Icebreaker Battlerite, your Ice Lances deal 4 bonus damage and instantly break the frozen state before dealing damage. This is a good reason for separating Petrify and Freeze. If the shatter also worked on petrified targets, it could become a little oppressive to constantly freeze and shatter targets. Can you imagine how annoying it would be to play against like Ashka, Alysia and Sirius or something? So in this case, I think there's a good reason that they separated the effects. I've noticed some people mention that Thorn's Entangling Roots is also a petrify effect in essence. That one doesn't actually have any interplay with his abilities or Battlerite, so it is pretty much just a petrify as far as I'm aware. But do correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a Thorn player. So while Alysia's freeze has an important distinction, there's always the risk of status effect blow, and we kinda got a little bit of it already, so Stunlock, if you're listening, just be careful. I do have a lot of faith in you as a developer, but you have had a bit of a history of confusing tooltips, shall we say. So yeah, just watch out for that. Design concerns aside, I'm really excited to play Alysia. As a support main, I'm kind of disappointed that she's not a support champion, but her theme and style are right up my street, so maybe that'll give me a push to play some DPS for a change. Although apologies in advance if I end up in one of your casual games, because my DPS game is not strong. I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please feel free to subscribe for more Battlerite guides, news and discussion. Until next time, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.